Following the previous episode, after a night of sleeping together, both young friends Sidao and Akimi reached a B level of intimacy. The next morning, Sidao suddenly fell ill and was bedridden, and to make matters worse, Akami went out to play with her friends without caring about him at all. He imagined being cared for by a goddess, feeling embarrassed about it. While feeling sad, he heard the bell ring. Thinking it was Akami coming to care for him, it turned out to be the goddess Sayori. She came to visit him, a wish come true indeed. Sayori bought him a pile of stuff and reminded him of his childhood when he used to take care of her when she was sick. Now it was Sayori who was taking care of him, and seeing the goddess dress up to cook, he wished he could marry this girl right away. However, the reason for their gradual estrangement was that Sayori was transferring schools. He intended to confess his feelings, but heard her say she wanted to remain friends forever. Okay then, he decided to remain friends and dared not express any objections. While he was feeling down, Sayori had finished cooking porridge for him. Of course, it was incredibly delicious, but he missed the opportunity to be spoon-fed by a goddess. Then he asked about the reason they both had an E grade. He held Sayori's hand, encouraging her that she would surely overcome it, but felt a bit over the top, hence embarrassed. It wasn't until Sidao fell asleep that Sayori dared to confess her true feelings to him. At this time, Akari was talking with her friends, but couldn't stop thinking about Sidao. After returning home and taking a bath, she heard him say that he would cooperate with her to raise their grade to an A, which would make it easier for her to approach Minami. But hearing these words from him somehow made her heart ache. The next morning, Akami asked him how to make a boy fall for her. After some thought, Sidao immediately thought of a love lunchbox. All she needed to do was to pour a lot of feelings into it, and the boy would surely fall for her. That day, he was conscripted into becoming a helper, assisting Akami in preparing a perfect lunchbox. The first step was taste testing. The fried egg was indeed delicious, but would be even better with some sugar. Of course, they couldn't do that as Minami had a different taste preference than him. Nonetheless, obtaining a bento box for lunch was worth the effort and hard work. Kamua was jealous seeing him becoming closer and closer to her. As they were talking about Akami, she suddenly appeared, right in front of them. Seeing the couple argue over the lunchbox made Kamua want to dig a hole and disappear. The next morning when he woke up, he saw Akagi busily preparing breakfast for Minami. It looked so delicious that his stomach started growling, and Akagi immediately let him taste a piece of egg. Even though it was leftover, he thought it would be sweet since she had prepared rice for herself, but he was wrong. It was actually for Minami. The sight of Akami in her provocative outfit was incredibly uncomfortable for him. He didn't understand why, before leaving, Akami wanted him to kiss her like the other day to boost her courage. Looking at her pleading so adorably, who could resist her? Just as he was about to kiss her, someone rang the doorbell. It turned out to be Sayori, who had come to give them apple pies. She added that Minami really liked sweets, and hoped that they wouldn't dislike it. Hearing this news, Akami was devastated. She had been completely wrong to think that Minami didn't like sweets. Feeling guilty, Sidao tried to comfort her with a few words, but when he saw that his words were not having an effect, he changed his approach and complimented Akami, saying she was incredibly sexy, and that in the eyes of the male students, she was always number one. He blurted out his thoughts before he could stop himself. But as a result, Akami pounced on him, pinning him down, ready to take things to the next level. All he had to do was nod once, and he could say goodbye to his bachelor life. But at the last moment, Sidao chose to refuse, saying that she had Minami and he had Sayori. Akari put an end to their discussion, declaring, "This husband and wife thing ends here." And it was true. From that moment on, the two stopped talking, their grades plummeted without breaks, and the result was predictable. They got an E. Meanwhile, Sayori's pair got an A. She had tried her best, yet... When he went outside, Sayori called him to the rooftop to talk about his situation with Akami. Hearing the encouragement from the goddess made him feel motivated. Upon returning home, Sidao knocked on Akagi's door, thinking she wouldn't answer. To his surprise, she did. He apologized for the incident that happened before, and this time, he seriously explained everything and concluded that he too had feelings for her. At that moment, had he not been able to control himself, things would have proceeded. Seeing his seriousness made Akami laugh. She said she also quite liked him. Now that everything was out in the open, The two made peace and truly started over from zero. During the next day's physical education class, Sidao could only fixate his gaze on his goddess, Sayori. However, both Akami and Sayori were focused solely on the school's heartthrob, Minami, who was playing basketball. Sidao found himself imagining Minami as a heroic figure, vanquishing an evil demon king. In contrast, he saw himself as a country boy hiding behind rocks. His imagination had led him to belittle himself excessively. After finishing school, Sidao went home with a very gloomy mood. Seeing this, Sayori ran over to inquire about him, and was surprised when Sidao bluntly asked if she intended to be with the handsome guy, Minami. Meanwhile, Akami was cleaning up a storage room at that time. As she was quite irritated, Minami suddenly appeared and called her name, startling her and making her drop a box of basketballs. Minami rushed over to help, but unfortunately, tripped and fell on top of Akami. Seeing him walk away, Akami called out and asked the same question that Sidao had asked Sayori. It's truly a case of minds in sync. However, hearing the response, "That's right," made her heartbreakingly sad, shedding tears. Seeing this, Minami came over and did something that you probably already know. Mr. Kamu was looking for his friend when he accidentally witnessed a scene he shouldn't have seen. Sidao also received a vague answer from Sayori, which left him confused. He was about to confess his feelings when his friend Kamo suddenly showed up. Ha ha. Once more, Sidao would have escorted Mr. Kamu back to the bushes. Just at that moment, Akami and Minami also stepped out of the room, accompanied by Akami's flushed face. Seeing a happily married couple walking home together and then looking back at a sorrowful Akami who could bear it? The next morning, Akami found an excuse to leave early, making him feel empty. While playing games, Kamu came and told him about seeing Akami kissing Minami, pretending to be okay like Sidao, but definitely deep inside, tears were like a vast sea carrying feelings of jealousy. He called out to Akami but received no reply. Accidentally mentioning Minami, he was interrogated like a prisoner, and the more he tried to explain, the more it made Akami laugh. It turned out to be a hoax from Kamu. Suddenly, he saw her shedding tears, which completely flustered him. Not knowing what to do, he just hugged her. She cried it all out, then took a bath to wash away her worries. Akagi borrowed his t-shirt to wear, enhancing their intimacy. There it is, a green light already. Though they did nothing, their relationship had... Let's end this episode here, everyone. I hope you'll like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch the next episode tomorrow.